Good afternoon, and welcome to this session on creating engaging lessons with Britannica. We had a slight change of pace from what was originally planned, which was going to be creating engaging presentations and more aimed at students. So that was just based on some feedback we had that there was more of an interest in learning from a teacher perspective how Britannica School on Scoilnet can support you with making lessons a bit more visual, more kind of cross-curricular, cross-media. So hopefully this is going to be exactly what you're after. A couple of housekeeping points before I make a start. I've popped you all on mute for the time being, and that's just because we're recording this session. So it's just to minimize any feedback we might get. If you do have any questions, we do want this to be an interactive session, so feel free to click the raise hand button to indicate you've got some comments, feedback, or questions, and also make use of the chat box. I'll be keeping an eye on that throughout the presentation, and we can pause and look at those questions as we move along as well. At the end, I will be leaving some time for some further questions and comments. So if you feel more comfortable, then just hold back on some of those questions and we can address those at the end. Okay, so a little bit about myself and about the company. So my name is Hayley Mills. I am a senior strategic account manager here at Britannica Education, and my role is essentially working with larger groups and countries in implementing our resources and working with the teachers in those environments to understand the different ways that they might benefit from the service. So following this, I'm going to have my contact details for you to jot down. And if you have any questions or maybe you want some training for your own institution, then I'm the person to go to. In terms of who Britannica are, we have a very rich history. We're mainly known or recognised as Encyclopedia Britannica Group. But Britannica Education, which sits underneath that, is essentially our kind of curriculum and online resource company, and we do provide a range of different digital resources to schools globally. In terms of where we sit, we are in 83 different countries worldwide. Everyone in Ireland has access to Britannica, and you're in really good company because we've got a number of different kind of countrywide partnerships. So Wales is another one, Iceland, Egypt. So there's a range of different settings that our product sits within. And yeah, for your reference, we've partnered once again with the PDST team to provide Britannica free of charge to everyone in Ireland. And I'll be showing you kind of exactly how you find that on the Scoilnet page. As I said, we've kind of shifted the focus for this session to look at how Britannica School can actually make your lessons a lot more engaging and help you to create lessons as well. So I'm going to be focusing on a couple of these areas. Firstly, the tools within the platform that can work as really good engagement pieces, really good lesson hooks or lesson starters. I'll be focusing, in terms of the creation stage of lessons, how Britannica can save you time with finding safe content and also save time finding, variety of resources. Within that, I'll just have a short kind of indication of how you, if you need to, how you can reference the sources that you use from Britannica and also how students can do so. I will be touching upon differentiation methods. So just in terms of obviously the increasing, pressure as teachers to make sure that all of our lessons cater for a mixed ability group for students who learn in different ways. So I'll be touching on a few of the ways that Britannica can make that a lot easier. And then as an overarching theme, the lesson planning. So some of our lesson planning tools where you can pull all of these really brilliant features together to make it very accessible for both learners and teachers. So let's go into Scoilnet now and show you basically all of those really rich features that you can make use of. So as you can see, here I'm on the Scoilnet page. I've really zoomed into that, sorry. And right down here, if you scroll through the website, you're going to see a overview of Britannica School. So it's very simple. It's quite large on the website, and you just click in and you are into our service. So we've authenticated across Ireland using IP, so it should just pick up automatically. You won't need any logins. So that's the first really nice thing about Britannica, particularly in Ireland. Then in terms of, before I go in and show you all those features specific to lesson planning, it's just worth pointing out that this is a product or a platform that you can use anywhere, anytime, and on any device, and that it caters for any age group. So we've got these 3 trees that indicate a kind of level of information. Foundation is your primary level, intermediate is your post-primary, and then your advanced level is going to be really brilliant for anyone doing the Leaving Cert, anyone at that level who needs a bit more challenge, anyone you're trying to get university ready, and also for yourselves. So if you want to maybe brush up on your own knowledge of a particular subject in the curriculum, then I find it really useful, to just go into that level, do a bit of extra reading and research myself, and then I can easily differentiate down for the different groups that I may be serving in my class. But we'll touch upon all the differentiation tools in a moment. So just firstly, to give you a bit of a feel for those different levels and all the types of engagement hooks that you might be able to find. If I start from the lower level, and we'll make our way up to look at the more grown up and kind of advanced content. So within our primary level, you can see immediately there's some really nice engaging elements of the homepage. Each level provides its own kind of differentiated content. So here, each day, we're going to get a featured in the news story. I love this. It's a brand new feature for us, and I think what's really brilliant is it ties in a couple of important things within the curriculum. So we've got that kind of reading for pleasure element, getting used to kind of the news format and consuming news in a really safe and child-friendly way. There's been a lot, obviously, in the news in the last couple of years around fake news and misinformation. So this is a nice way for primary learners to access news that is, fun, engaging, and topical for them. Every single news story that we feature each day has an article itself. So if I click in and show you, so we've got a news article. This one's about a tortoise who celebrated his 190th birthday. And then we've got our kind of article, a fun fact related to that. We always have a link back into the platform to learn more about the topic, a word of the day, and then also a game, usually a word search or kind of a word activity to try and bring in some of those key vocabulary terms from the article and also kind of get a gauge on their comprehension of the topic. So it's a really nice way that, each day, if you want to maybe launch a lesson or launch a particular kind of session on Britannica, then you've got that kind of interactive piece to start with. In the same way, we feature on the primary level a do you know video. So again, seems to all be linked today to the tortoise theme. You can project this video, as part of your lesson, or you may want to actually, if you click into this video,
turtles are reptiles. No,
you can copy, a link to it, download it. So there's lots of ways that you can start to pull out the content from Britannica. And what's lovely is, once again, you've got those questions. So it's a nice way to, let's spend 2 minutes, nice and short, just looking at this video, and then let's ask a question and then learn more about that topic as well. The exact same with an image, so a featured image for every day. And what you'll see as we move through the levels is there's something similar in format for each age group. So lots of content that you can make use of as hooks. Moving down, some other areas that might work depending on the lesson that you're teaching. If you were teaching anything around habitats and animals and environments, then I would recommend maybe utilizing tools such as our Animal Kingdom for primary. This is going to bring in a range of different content, both for groups, habitats, and then also by alphabets. And then there's loads of featured links that you can make use of. So this is going to bring you some video and article content that specifically relates to these themes. So to demonstrate, if we were looking at, whether we're looking at climate change and, the impact on certain habitats and environments, or whether we're actually just interested to learn about the types of animals who live in a particular place, I could click into this deserts, and I'm going to get loads of related content to spark discussion and interest in this subject. So I've got an article on the habitat itself, a list of all the creatures who live there. And if I click into any of those, I'm going to get a whole host of related content as well. By contrast, if I move up to our post-primary level, you can see immediately some similarities. So we've got this in the news feature once again, but this is at a much older, aimed at an older secondary or post-primary audience. But again, lots of similarities, your news story there, and then your games, word of the day, and facts. If you're looking for some inspiration for your lessons and how you could use Britannica across specific disciplines, I would recommend having a look at our Explore tools. What's brilliant about this section is it actually provides you with a range of categories linked to your curriculum. So they're quite broad areas of interest, and then you can narrow that down to make it more specific for what you might be teaching in a term or across a year. So we've got everything from, arts and literature, earth and geography, history, philosophy and religion, society, sports. So there's loads of different categories, science and mathematics. So if I pop into the science one, you'll see that starts to break down that really broad category into much more specific themes and areas. So if I know I'm looking at physics, and I want to make that much more specific around energy, then I've got a range of Britannica results that I can spark my lessons with, or get a feel at least for the types of content we provide. So you can see there's only 19 results linked to that energy category. So those are the kind of recommended resources, but there'll be like thousands of results that you can branch off into for that particular topic. Moving down, just to again touch upon some of those engagement pieces. On the home pages, we have at a glance here at the middle level. This basically takes a snapshot look at different themes. So you can see here we've got something to do with the solar system, again, the universe. So we've got lots of more topics that we've done, landmarks, the Holocaust, a real range. And you can just keep expanding that. So if there's something in there that you might be able to utilize, if we look at the Holocaust one as an example, that's going to take you into a much more broad kind of thematic overview of that topic. The same for Did You Know? So these are really nice, engaging videos, and perhaps you can spark some interest and discussion in your classes and in your lessons by making use of these videos. There's a whole range that you can make use of there on our home pages. A couple of other features that I'm just going to touch upon before showing you the kind of Main way that we use Britannica in our lessons is our 2 geography features, which are across all 3 levels. So here we've got compare countries, a really nice way to bring in kind of cross-curricular elements. So if you're looking at a particular country, so we had an example of a school who was looking at the Afghanistan war, and they use that as a comparison. So you could do like Ireland as a comparison to Afghanistan to really kind of highlight the similarities and the differences between 2 places. So this gives a real kind of global awareness to students. It's a nice way to have some debates. So if we look at things like the populations that live in urban and rural populations, we can see that, in Ireland, mainly now the populations are living in urban areas versus the majority in Afghanistan living in rural. Life expectancy, so you can have some really good debates around why it might be that the life expectancy would be less in a place like Afghanistan versus Ireland. So more advanced students may want to then speak about their knowledge of, health, well-being, lifestyle, all those things. And also things like literacy percentage, is equal for men and women in Ireland. Why might it be very different in places like Afghanistan? So these are kind of examples of the ways that the tools in Britannica can really, really spark some interesting conversations in your lessons. And then advanced level, once again, you're really kind of advanced 16 plus year groups. You've got brilliant features on here. One I really like as a kind of daily activity you could do is on this day in history. So it just kind of, again, sparks some conversations. You can read about that. And, again, each day you're going to get new content there. We've also got some really good flash facts here and famous quotes. And you can learn then about the particular authors by clicking in. If I just scroll down, the other tool I was going to show you was our World Atlas. So again, I'm just thinking of a topic like, for instance, maybe you are looking at ancient world and you want to do, you look at something like Pompeii, maybe we could actually go into the map and have a look at that particular, like a particular area. So I can drag and drop the figure into the map. Need to figure out where the actual elements are. 1 second. Okay, maybe that wasn't the best example actually. Let's do instead, say you're looking at the impact of climate change and you want to look at maybe the coral reef region to see if we can spot any indications or at least get a feel for what those environments are like. So we can drag and drop the figure into the map. So here I can go right into the Coral Sea. And you can zoom into the maps, you can look at all these different landscapes and get an idea of those different environments. So this tends to be a really nice visual tool that teachers make use of. And yeah, it just brings it a bit to life. So you can look at landscapes in different areas, different countries, etc. Now for the actual lesson planning element. So the first thing to mention is that when you're within any level, what I would recommend you do is, if you're going to use Britannica for creating engaging lessons, is create a personal account. So from Scoilnet, you're not going to have to use a username or password, but to start compiling resources for lessons, then you definitely will. What you want to do is click on the My Britannica icon in the top right-hand corner, and then create an account, give yourself a username and a password of your choosing. And then just indicate that you're an educator. So that's going to give you access to some of our public lesson plans that you might be able to customize, and also the functionality to create your own. So let me just log in to show you what that looks like. Once I'm logged in, if I now click on My Britannica, I'm going to see 4 different options. The first is to look at anything that I may have saved for a future lesson or a future homework assignment. The second is the option to look at resource packs, which I'll explain in a little bit more detail in a moment, but essentially that's packs or a collection of resources that may be linked to a specific theme, class, or topic. Lesson plans will relate to the bespoke lessons that you've created for yourself. And then any public lesson plans will be those that have been created either internally by the Britannica team or by some of our customer schools. So every time you create a lesson, you have the opportunity, if you want to share that as a resource for other educators to make use of. And we really welcome people to do that. And it might be a really good way for, you know, teachers in Ireland to collaborate and share best practice as well. So let's just say, you know, we're at level 3 right now, but let's just say we are going to be looking at the topic of, let's have a look at James Joyce, for instance. So say that's coming up in the curriculum and you are looking for really engaging content that you might be able to make use of. If I enter my search, I'm going to be able to see results for that particular topic. And you'll notice that I'm at level 3, which is the advanced level of content, but you've also got 2 lower levels that you can make use of. So everything from articles, images, videos, and more. So more includes journal content, website content, and primary source content is in there. Let's do another search, something a bit broader in topic. So I'm going to look at climate. If I go into my article, I also have that flexibility to shift the level of content that I'm seeing. So that's just worth noting that when you save it, you're saving it as you're seeing it on your screen. So if you actually want to have maybe 2 versions of a lesson plan, one for a less able group and one for a more able group, then you'll just need to favorite both elements. So that's going to save it and give you the option to, you know, store that to a particular resource pack or a particular lesson. So let's say actually, you know, this is more for my own knowledge to really get a broad understanding of climate and all the themes within that. But I am going to have this version for my post-primary group. I'm going to press my star button and save it to my personal favorites. You can see that this is a popular search for us. So we've already got that saved to 3 different resource packs. If I want to, I can just save it as I have, and that will just be in my favorites. But I also want to maybe create a project space or a collection of resources for climate change. So I'm going to give that a name. And create my pack. If I go right down to level 1 and I maybe want to have a version of that same resource pack, but for a lower ability group, then once again, I can favorite my item. And this time I'm going to give it a slightly different name. Of course, that doesn't necessarily mean that this would be for a primary group. It could be for a post-primary group at a lower ability. So you can use that resource pack area to give it the most relevant name to your class. If you were teaching this, you could, you know, obviously pull this up in a smartboard and work through this article to, you know, to go through that lesson. However, what I would recommend is looking at the related media, all these related tabs to think about ways that you can bring that lesson to life using some of the other content in Britannica. So if I go to related images and videos here, these are going to be really specific, not just to the topic, but to the article that you're in. So you may want to pull up, you know, an actual visual aid, whether that's an image or a video. And once again, you're going to have that shift up depending on the level you're on. So if you want to give a bit more challenge to a particular group, then move up the level and look at the related media and you'll find that it's different. that maybe the videos are going to be, they're definitely going to be much more challenging. And, the images will be different as well, depending on the content that's covered. Again, you can save any of these items. So if you want to save that to your pack and compile it, then just go to either media details or sharing options, press the star icon. And then all you need to do is pull in the name of your pack. So this one I'm going to do for primary. The same applies, if you're looking for inspiration of how to really make this a very broad resource, make it cover the breadth and depth of a topic. Then if you go to the related tab, what you're going to see is any related articles. Maybe this would form a really nice kind of further reading element or a homework assignment. So you've said, in the lesson, we're going to cover this element of climate, and now I'm going to direct you to look at things more specifically like biome or microclimate or global warming. If there were any primary source material or ebooks related to this, so had we gone into the James Joyce article, we would have seen some really nice primary source material, so we could actually read some of his texts in an online format. So it's a nice way, again, to bring in that kind of further learning into your lessons, or maybe actually take a sample, a quote, a sample of a text into that lesson format so that you can actually have it all in one place. And equally, if there's any really good websites that we can recommend for a topic, then we will do that in the related area. So it's a really nice way to branch off and get some other inspiration from elsewhere as well. For now, if I'm finding that I'm not seeing enough results for me to get the full inspiration for my lesson plan, then I'm going to actually click on the climate search, and it's going to take me back to look at much more content. So this time I might want to look specifically at the climate change article. I've got some really good other suggested content, and I can make my way through a broader range of images, videos, and more. So I would definitely recommend, if you're a post-primary group, if you're teaching more advanced learners and you maybe want to bring in, some academic research related to the field of study, then the journals are going to be a really brilliant way to add a bit more depth to your lessons. So we've got embedded into the platform are EBSCO journals. So we've partnered with EBSCO, who are an academic magazine and journal provider, and they stream their collections of academic magazines into our text. And here you can access them either in an online format or as a PDF as well. So depending on the needs of your learners. Oh. Let me click on this one. So if you want to save a particular journal or piece of research, either for your own reference or to a particular lesson plan, then make use of that favorite icon, the star. And once again, you're following that format of pulling in the pack that is the most relevant. So this time, I think it's going to be much more post-primary focused. And then lastly, I would just indicate those primary sources in ebooks. So I am going to just show you more of a historical search here, World War II, just to show you where you can find those really rich historical documents and primary source materials. You can just find them there and pull them into your packs. Once you're happy with the content that you've pulled together, go to your My Britannica area. You can either look at everything you favorited, but in no order, or have a look at your resource packs, which have now been fleshed out with some more content. If I go into my post-primary pack here, at this stage, what I can do is really start to customize that pack. So if I'm thinking about doing this for a lesson, I can convert it to a lesson plan. I can rename it to make it more kind of student facing. I can select the age grade that I'm catering this for, enter a description for my lesson. Again, this is going to be really brilliant and helpful if you are collaborating with other teachers to deliver a particular topic. Indicate which lesson this is covering, and if it's covering more than one, you can select more than one. You can indicate how long that session is going to last. If you know that this particular lesson that you've got is really just for a one-day kind of section, or if it's for, you know, a whole term or a range of lessons, then you can indicate that too. And you've got this very familiar structure for teachers. So your objectives, your assessments for that particular lesson, any procedures that you have can be added. And then in the additional information section, you've got the option to add in, you know, some suggested materials, or you've got this range of different tools. So maybe you want to ask some questions. Maybe you want to add in your curriculum standards. Maybe you are going to make some modifications or suggestions for different groups as well. So everything that you would normally have to do, you can now do within Britannica. And because the platform's so flexible, you can actually pull in resources from elsewhere on Scoilnet or from other resources that you're using. And you can, you know, add that into the description or into the steps, etc. For now, I'm going to discard my changes. I just want to also show you that you've got the flexibility to add your notes. So any feedback, any kind of inspiration for how that particular image or video or article might be used in the lesson, you can add as you go using this notes section. Any questions you might want to ask as you go as well. So once your lesson plan has been saved, it's going to sit within your personal lesson plan space. And there are a couple of things just to know in terms of sharing and utilising that lesson. So I'm going to go on to this maps and globes lesson to show you. So here we've kind of fleshed this out with all of the different objectives and materials, etc. Immediately, our platform is going to generate a very short shareable link for the lesson. So actually you can, if you're utilizing any other platforms such as, you know, Google Classroom, Microsoft Teams, any VLE or platform that your school's using, you've got the flexibility to pull this link out, paste it into those different areas, so that it's really flows with everything else that you're doing. Alternative methods of sharing are here as well. So easy sharing to those two platforms, as well as the opportunity to email this link to anyone who might want to cover a lesson or support you as well. All of your procedures are here. Again, you can actually like link to others. So this is a really good example, actually. A colleague has created this. They've got links to our World Atlas tool within here. So actually they're doing that as a home extension to ask students to go into the World Atlas and, you know, click on each continent and ocean, note the continent names, you know, make some observations. And then if there was any kind of related resources, they can add those as well. So you can actually edit this and actually, if I go down, you can even upload your own like document. So if you've got a worksheet that is really good for this topic, then you can add that in as well. You will notice that you also have the option to save and publish your lesson plan, and this will make it accessible for anyone who uses our service. That brings us very nicely to our public lesson plan area. Do feel free to have a little look at everything we've got on here. You know, there's a filtering tool so you can look at specific age groups, subjects, or areas of study to make it a bit more specific. Lots of really good content in there, and you're able to also, so if I just go to, just going to go to one, actually I might do world religions as one. do this Ramadan one. If I wanted to, I can once again customize that. It's going to save this as a version for myself, as my own copy in my lesson plan area, and I can start to really tailor that to my particular group. So I believe that brings us to the end of our session. It ran on a little bit longer than planned. Have we got any questions? I know we've covered quite a lot in here. Is there any questions, anything anyone wants to go over? Okay, doesn't look like we have any questions, so hopefully that means we've covered quite a lot in here. Let me just click back to our presentation 1 second so you can get my contact details. We are. So it doesn't look like we have any questions right now, but if you do, then you have my details here. So I'm just going to leave that on the screen for a moment for you to jot down. As I said, I am the main contact at Britannica for all of the Irish schools. So happy to help you all, happy to sit on a session and look more specifically at how your school can benefit from Britannica, how you can use it for specific lesson plans or different areas of your curriculum as well. Thanks ever so much for joining. A recording and some other useful materials will be coming to you via email very soon.